Welcome to today's webinar, which will offer a look into the Arduino Engineering Kit learning platform. Thank you for taking some time to be with us today. Before we jump in, just a few housekeeping items. We'll be running a live question and answer session towards the end of the webinar. Please feel free to use the chat feature in your participant panel and pop up any questions that you may have in there, and we will address them when the time comes. Also, if you miss any part of the content presented today, not to worry, we'll be sending you an on-demand recording when it's available. My name is Eric Simmons, and I'm a former educator that has been an educational consultant for over a decade. I currently fill a sales leadership role here at Pittsco Education. With me today are two colleagues from Arduino Education that I'm pleased to introduce. The first is Leonard George. Leonard has a background in engineering and computer science with a master's in interaction design from Malmö University in Sweden. Leonard has experience in mobile application development, user experience design, and designing educational products. Currently, Leonard works at Arduino creating and crafting student-centric learning experiences for educational products. Also with us today is Roxana Expedito. Rox has a background in design, communication, and education. She has experience in researching creative teaching and learning, as well as in designing learning environments for students and children with different learning abilities. Currently, Roxana works at Arduino Education as their partner trainer. I would like to personally thank Rox and Leonard for being with us today, and will officially turn the presentation over to them.
Thank you so much, Eric, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining today. And we also want to thank Pittsco, our educational partner, for organizing this, and hope you all enjoy this and find it useful. So if you're ready, let's get started. I'm going to turn my camera off so we can focus on the actual presentation. So let's do this. So first, today is webinar number 3, which is all about the Engineering Kit learning platform. And as Eric mentioned it before, I am Roxana, and today's special guest is Lenard. He's an educational content designer at Arduino Education. And this is what we're going to discuss today. So first, we start talking about the learning platform. We are going to have a quick recap for the previous webinars. And then we move to our topic for today. We're going to talk more in depth about the Engineering Kit learning platform. We are going to see the sections, how can you use the content, how the content was designed, and all the resources that are there for you. And also some recommendations on how to use the content. And at the end, we're going to show you the demo of the platform, and then we will have our Q&A questions. But also feel free to write any questions you may have using the chat, and then at the end we're going to address those questions. So, but let's take a quick recap for the previous webinars. So on the first webinar, we talked about the Engineering Kit. So we learned that we designed this kit in collaboration with MathWorks. So the idea is that students can learn the core concepts, the fundamental concepts of mechatronics and engineering concepts, while they'll develop these programming and engineering skills using MATLAB and Simulink. But what is very interesting about this kit is that the students are able to connect what they learn with the real world industries. So that's a huge, very important aspect of this kit. So also, the last webinar we had was all about MathWorks and the software that we use in the Engineering Kit. And we have a guest from MathWorks chat, and he shared with us all the details of this software and the relevance of students to learn this type of software and how we use it together with Arduino. So we learned actually that there are around 1,700 universities around the world using MATLAB campus-wide license, and over 140,000 faculty and students are using this software to program hardware. In addition to the academic and research world, we also learned that many businesses are actually using these products to solve their business needs. So they will need new hires with MATLAB experience. But speaking about businesses and industries, we also learn like some of the fields in which students have interested upon college graduation. And these are some of the, this is where MathWorks products are used heavily to drive business initiatives and progress and projects. So as you see, it's a wide variety of industries that are using this software to solve their businesses needs. We also learned on that past webinar that MathWorks is not just a single tool. It's very useful to data analysis workflow, so it's very handy for us. So we saw that first we need to access some data, to bring data, in this case from a piece of hardware, which is the Arduino. And then we explore this data, we discover it, we learn how to visualize this data in an easy way. So MathWorks help us with that. And then at the end, when we understand better how this data works, we deploy an algorithm, and then we share this in form of a documentation so others can also learn. Also, it's very important in this learning experience that students are able to share what they do, because that reinforces learning. And also MathWorks and MATLABs and Simulink is a very good tool because it helps us to automate this process, and this saves us time. So that's also very handy too. We also saw an example of one of the projects, which is the motorbike. So we saw how we get data from the sensors in the motorbike, and then the tool, this MathWorks and MATLAB, help us to understand this data. So we know that the purpose of the motorbike is to balance. So then these tools help us to make also simulations. So as you can see on this video here, we can also make these model-based design versions of, in this case, of the motorbike, that they create a system. We can run the model and see a simulation to make sure that our system runs okay and it's stable before actually deploying the code. And then we can share that with our other colleagues or teachers. So then to sum up, we learned on the last webinar the importance of learning this tool together with Arduino, so students can really have an enhanced learning experience of these mechatronics core concepts in a hands-on way while they're developing these 21st century skills. So these are very powerful tools that are there for students to learn. So that was the sum up, and without further ado, I'm going to present Lenard. So as you know, he works in Arduino as an educational content designer. So he's going to tell us more about the Engineering Kit platform. So Lenard, are you there? Are you ready?
Yes, I am. And thanks for the intro, Rox and Eric. So yeah, just a little bit about what I do at Arduino. I work for the content team, and we take care of creating all the content for the Arduino community out there, and we sort of also decide on what activities, content, and learning approaches we have to include in a certain kit or educational product that we are making. For AK especially, we worked on, for the Rev 2 at least, we had a customer centricity project, and we worked on certain content iterations that I'm going to like run you through. And one of them is like the learning platform. And to start off, the learning platform is a web-based learning environment, as you can see. And it is accessible for both teachers and the students. It's the same content that they will see on this particular platform. And the learning materials are like sort of split into lessons and projects. So I will get into that in the following slides. But this is just to like sort of make it easier to split up the concepts and the theoretical concepts and the practical knowledge across two different categories. And the core of the design of this learning platform is project-based learning, and we try to like sort of implement or adapt certain values of project-based learning while translating it into a web-based tool. And most importantly, this platform is made for teachers and students. We took into account how teachers will use this tool and how students can also like have a good learning experience that will help them to grasp these concepts in a more concrete manner. And we are constantly improving this platform through feedbacks, interviews, and continuous iteration so far. Yeah, can you move to the next slide? Looks. Yeah. So as I told you guys earlier, this we try to like encapsulate like a few core values of project-based learning. And the first one is collaboration. We try to make the content, we try to create the content and the experience in a way that students can both collaborate and also can do it individually. We recommend it for a more like a group work, a group-based approach. But now, due to the current conditions, there may in a lot of places that might not be possible, but still people could use it individually as well and learn it for themselves. We also like make sure that we follow a certain process in teaching certain concepts, or be it programming or be it theoretical concept. We have described a certain way to do it, and the projects are mostly based on real world experiences and applications. As Rox mentioned earlier, we try to like sort of wrap these into simple examples or activities that the students can learn, and that's what the projects are all about. And since we made the content a little more modular this time, the students can sort of adapt to the way they want to learn and define their own outcomes of sorts on what they want to learn, specialized through these projects. So yeah, at the bottom of it, students are very self-centered and self-directed in a way, in the way they learn the concepts, and the educator is just merely a facilitator in this for this kit. Yeah, the next slide. So the entire content for this particular kit is split into two parts. One category is called lessons, and the other category is called projects. The lessons are mainly focused on experimentation and exploration of core mechatronic concepts, and also programming knowledge that's related to MATLAB and Simulink, and a little bit of Arduino as well. And the projects focus on sort of applying these concepts to real world projects or applications. And as you can see, the three projects we have so far are a drawing robot, a rover, and a self-balancing motorcycle. And these pretty much have an outcome to it. Students know what the outcome and what is their goal in while doing these projects. But for lessons, it's mostly about exploring themselves and trying these concepts out for themselves to see where they could apply the knowledge that they have. And also, it could also be used for teachers to sort of adapt it to their own curriculum and the teaching approaches that they take, or the chapters they want to take as well. Yeah, let's go to the next slide. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about how this kit can be both adaptable for teachers and students, but we can start with the teachers. The first thing is that the instructions given in the kit, the learning material, is the same for teachers and students. So they have the same, they have access to the same content, and all the content has instructions. They have learning outcomes mentioned at the beginning of each section. They are modular, as I said, and they have videos on how to assemble these projects as well. So that way it takes a lot of load from the teacher, and like it actually drives the student to like learn about these topics. The next slide. And second thing is there's in the embedded classroom management dashboard that is accessible only to teachers, where they can enroll students to the platform and manage their accounts. There might be cases where they want to that they want to change students from one group to another, or remove students or add them for new classes, and that's also totally possible with the enhanced classroom management system. Yeah, the next slide. And then the third thing is we have, as I said, we focused a lot on making the content as modular as it can be, so that it's very easy for any school to adapt to their curriculum. And this is an efficient way to go about designing an educational product, as there are a bunch of different curriculums out there, and we try to sort of adapt it to any curriculum that's available for the teacher, or that's there for the education system. This also makes the content easier to sort of change, because you don't have to go in a linear fashion. You could mix and match different sections from different chapters, and sort of make your own sort of class out of it as well. So it makes that quite possible. Another thing is that the learning objectives for each section is clearly stated at the beginning of the section, so you will know what section to choose or what section to teach based on the needs of the students as well. And also, of course, it allows for an easier content navigation, so you don't have to sort of go through all the chapters to find what you want. It's quite easily, you can access them from the side navigation bar that's there for all the chapters. Yeah. And talking about how it's useful for students, the main challenge here was to improve the learning experience through this platform. And one aspect of that was to have a clear goal setting and a time management in place. So that is basically trying to specify how much time, say for example, the assembly would take, so that you can plan things way ahead. As I mentioned earlier, mentioning the learning objectives will also be helpful for students, as they could self-evaluate on how much they've learned and what concepts they grasped. And the modularity also helps in to plan their schedule for the week, and to see what concepts they could what sections they could cover in that given time. And as I mentioned earlier, the distinction between lessons and project itself would make it easier for them to adapt to their own learning styles, where for example, some students will like to experiment and simultaneously apply what they're learning as in a parallel fashion. So or some students can just go with learning the concepts first and then applying that later. So these both learning styles could be easily adaptable to using this platform. Next one. We also improved the visual language and the visuals for this in this platform. So we have improved typography for good readability. We have zoomable images, and which is very useful for schematics, especially, and also diagrams that sort of explain a certain concept. And most of the visuals that we use are actually in place to sort of also remove make it easier for students to basically grasp something, which by visualizing it, and this also it helps us to reduce the text and makes it a bit more visual in understanding some complex topic. Yeah. And of course, with this now, since this tool is digital, it was very easy for us to sort of bring in the distinct parts of the content into one place. And mainly it was very useful for linking to different MATLAB references, which you can find on MATLAB's portal as well. But since it's a wide array of topics, we sort of made it a bit more contextual for the kit. You could also access all the downloadable files and references from the platform itself. It also makes it easier for you to for the students to copy paste code onto the MATLAB environment directly from the platform. And also there are instructions for every aspect of the learning process, right from building to assembly to programming something on MATLAB as well, which this containing it in one place makes it easier for the students to like have a unified flow in their learning, and without having to open different windows or browsers to find out their answers. Yeah. So yeah, a general update. I don't know why there's an image missing for that. But one thing is as I said earlier, the getting started lesson that we have, which sort of also tells you about how we have structured the content and also the best practices that we would like you to follow as well, and while using the kit, which is it's clearly specified. Also, it allows us for faster content updates. So if in case there are any corrections or mistakes in, say, the programming or the script or the MATLAB script or some sort of content, you could reach out to us, and we make quick changes to it. We in fact make changes to we correct these mistakes as soon as we can, because this shouldn't be a blocker. And the third one is the ability to switch between languages. So for now, we have the content available in English and Spanish, and you can find this option at the footer of the web page. Yeah. So yeah, this is a little overview of the kit, and I can give you a quick run through of the different parts of the thing of the platform. When you get started, once you register the kit, you will automatically be redirected to this particular page, and this will be your landing view of this. The first thing you'll notice is the getting started and the activities options at the top, and they are basically corresponding to the lessons and the projects. You can either access them from there, or you can also scroll down and see the different lessons and the projects that are there in the kit. For teachers, you can get access to the dashboard from here, and that's where you can do your classroom management by adding students and removing students. It's a very simple interface, so it's not so tricky to go about. Then I can also show you a little sneak peek of the content. For example, the first chapter is all about setting up the kit and giving you an overview of what's there in the kit and what are the different learning objectives and how one could go about using this kit as well. And of course, it ends with a little installation process for setting up all the required tools, mainly software like MATLAB, Simulink, and the Arduino IDE. And of course, some certain libraries that you would need to sort of run the projects and the project files. So that's in lessons. Another one is another interesting chapter would be is the basics of mechatronics, and here we sort of like connect mechatronic concepts with how we could use them with Arduino, for example, and we went as much as we could in detail, but at the same time not to make it heavy for the students to follow. it's also, we also made it, we also kept the aspect of adapting this each section to how a teacher wants to use it in their class also in mind, and so that makes the content a bit more bite-sized in a way, and it's quite easily digestible. They all have images and yeah, important files and libraries, links to important files and libraries in the as a part of the chapter as well. Moving on to the projects, you can access them from here. They are in activities, and then each project has been broken into sections, as you can see, and each section has its own learning objective or goals to sort of reach. And we worked along with the MATLAB team to curate this the 3 projects especially, and it was indeed like a challenge to like break them into easily digestible chunks. But it's something that we're also constantly improving. If we find out something is a little complicated or hard to understand, we immediately try to like simplify it as well. But yeah, they have access to the code, the text that supports the code, on visuals, on where you can find certain options on the tool itself, and so on. Yeah. And yeah, another important thing is the help option. Something I forgot to mention in the slides, but this will be very useful for both teachers and students, as this connects directly to the Help Center articles that we have, and you can look for anything you would like. And for example, if I have some problems with DC motors or something, they may not appear here because there might not be any articles, but like it might show the top results that matches to the context. We are constantly making articles for this particular kit, so feel free to suggest us or reach out to us if there's something that you need. It may be replacement of certain parts, or it could also be some topic that you were not able to follow in this particular kit. And yeah, the last thing is the language option, which you can find at the bottom of the screen, and which you can switch immediately. And that's it from my side.
Lenard, can you show the at the bottom of the platform the contact us?
Yeah.
So that's the other help we have. If you're experiencing any issue or you don't find that one, the answer you're looking for, you click there and it will tell you to like a form. So you write like more in detail what issue you are experimenting, and then our support team will see that, and then they will contact you. Even if you need further support, you can also use this tool. So we have, that's the 2 types of support that we have on the platform. So yeah, nice. So thank you, Lenard, and can you?
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to give you the.
If you have any questions, please go ahead. But I want just to make some remarks. So as you see, the platform has everything like you need to learn these fundamental concepts of engineering and mechatronics. And this is perfect also for like remote learning. If you have your students working at home, you see that the content is there for them to go by themselves. As also Lenard mentioned, this is project-based learning approach. So the students can easily do it like on their own, and then the teacher can focus on helping them in specific things. So that's why the content is very rich, because we free the teacher from that thing, from creating content and then figuring out like ways and or putting together resources to students. So the educators have everything here. So again, they can focus on supporting their students. And the content is flexible enough. So if you have some students that are a little bit more advanced, you can also challenge them to modify the projects. That's also possible, because also you see all the code is open. They can share it, they can modify it. So that's also very good. So it's good for beginners, and also for those that have more experience, it's also good for them. And Leonard, I just wanted to ask you if there is an evaluation tool that comes in that they can find in the platform, or is there something to evaluate students?
No, no, nothing really. But I was thinking about it, that the learning objectives that we have at the beginning of the section can, in a way, be used as a guide for making like an evaluation of sorts, if teachers need. But it's not entire. I wouldn't say it's a tool itself, or like a complete solution, but it could help in some ways.
Yeah, and also that part, thanks. Also that part that we mentioned at the beginning, that it's about all about project-based learning. So we like encourage teachers and students to present what they build, because that's also, first, it's also like an evaluation tool for teachers, because when you're able to explain what you just did, that means that you learned something, right? So this is also a good thing to reinforce learning. So also teachers can use this, like present your project as a learning tool if they want to. So it's possible to do it. And another thing, Leonard, is it possible to download the content, or it's just available online?
No, you can't download it. It's only accessible from the platform.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And also a good recommendation, as Leonard mentioned, the content is not linear. It's not that you first need to build a motorcycle and then build the rover. So you can follow whatever order, but we strongly recommend that, of course, you start with the getting started lesson, because that will help you with all the installation, and that you are aware of the kind of lessons that you're going to learn, the learning objectives. So it's very important that you first, as a teacher, get familiar with that. And also the idea is that you, as an educator, first you go through all the content, build the projects, and then when you're ready, and you contact support if you need it, and then when you are ready with the material, you're comfortable, you know how the platform works, then you implement that with your students. And again, it's very flexible for this remote learning situation we have. So I don't know if anyone has another question, any comment, any feedback about the platform. What do you think? We have many comments when we have done similar webinars, that many teachers really like the content, because it has everything they need in one place. So also the kit offers that, all the hardware and all the software. So it's easy for the teacher, because they don't need to spend time trying to put some lessons together and then find a piece of hardware and then find another component there. So everything is there. So it's very good. You just focus on learning. So that's why also our goal to provide all of that.
Rox, we do have one or a couple questions from the audience. So the first one was, how long does the MATLAB Simulink license last?
So when you buy the kit, you have 1 year access to, it's like a trial, right? It's 1 year. So after 1 year, you can contact MATLAB for like a campus license. So, but it is 1 year.
Good. Can non-students buy and use the kit and comply with the terms of these licenses?
What do you mean?
So I believe the answer is yes. You don't have to be an education student in order to use.
Of course not. Like if you are like a student, or you want to buy this for your kid, it's perfectly fine. You buy the kit, you register your kit, and then you have access to all the software for 1 year. So yeah.
Perfect. And one last part to that question: how can, say, a makerspace run classes based on this kit?
For makerspace, so when one kit, as Lenard showed before in the classroom management, if you're a teacher or you're a trainer or something, with one kit, you can give access to students, up to 50 students to the platform. So this will work more like in teams, in groups. So when one kit, we recommend like 2 students, maybe 3 students per kit, so they can work collaboratively. So that's how it will work in an on-site training. So, but if we are doing this like online, so people should have their own kits, and then they just follow the lessons and the project.
Yeah, and we do have other options as well. So if the engineering kit might not be the kit you're looking for a makerspace, if you're wanting more broad projects as well, we do have other options available from Arduino Education. So.
Yes, of course. If you want to see all of the Arduino education solutions, you can go to the PITSCO website, or also contact Eric of Brandon, and then they will tell you all of the solutions we have. But yeah, we have solutions for the classroom or like this kind of spaces. And we also have these solutions for remote learning. So we have both. So please feel free to contact PITSCO.
So Leonard, we do have one other question it looks like here. What's the main differences from version 1 to version 2 of the kit?
Leonard, would you like to take one?
Yeah, sure, definitely. There are a lot of differences. One of them is mainly the whole structure of the content and how we have moved certain things around. There's no, I wouldn't say there's a new content added to the kit. Of course, there are like certain updates to based on the updates that were there in MATLAB and the project files itself. So some projects have been like sort of maybe the coding in some projects have been a bit more enhanced and a bit more efficient, optimized, I would say. But yeah. So yeah, the main difference is, as I said, was like restructuring the content. We moved, like say for example, there were certain topics in some of the projects that were, I would say, that were quite kind of like basic knowledge that people had need to have, and we moved that to a separate chapter called the fundamentals of Arduino, MATLAB, and Simulink, and yeah, moved certain programming concepts there. Another change was to have a chapter just focusing on the mechatronic concepts. So these concepts were like sort of interlaced with the other projects, and they were spread across the whole entire kit. We sort of collected them in one place so that it's just easier to for teachers if they want to skip that particular section and just dive directly into the projects. But now that it's collected in one place, you could also like you do it first and then move to the projects as well. And and another thing is more of a technical aspect is that the first version of the kit was on a different platform, and then we changed platforms, and we also like sort of built an infrastructure around it, so that it's also easier for us to make updates to the content if there are certain complications that come up that could come about. So yeah, these were this was in a nutshell of what are the main differences of Rev 1 and Rev 2.
Yeah, and also I think like the learning flow, it's better on the second, of course. So it flows.
Definitely.
Yeah. So it's
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So because the second one was actually made after a major customer centricity project that we had with the previous users of Rev 1, for example. So a lot of things has been enhanced, especially in terms of learning experience from the first one. Yeah.
Good. I think if you'd retouch on this one again, but a couple of people had asked the question, how long generally does each lesson or project take?
I can answer this one as well, Rox. It depends because for example, like we can estimate a time on the assembly of projects, which is approximately like 45 minutes. But when it comes to the projects or the lessons, it depends on the learning speed and the capabilities of students itself. So So for example, like certain parts of the projects might take a while to sort of understand the script, and that completely depends on the student or the group of students working on it. So so yeah, that is something that we can't tell in the beginning. But to make things easier, we have added learning objectives before each section. So that could sort of give you an insight on, you know, how much something could take based on your previous knowledge, especially when students are like going through it and want to estimate how long it would take for them to like complete a project or like a particular topic. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also, again, up to, as Lenard mentioned, up to you, up to your students, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So exactly,
Yeah.
it's good
It
enough
doesn't
for you.
matter because, like, for example, the lessons, every topic in the lesson can be sort of expanded by the teacher if he or she wants to. So this what the things we provide are like just the basic, say the basic knowledge, something that could be or building blocks, I would say, for the classes. And yeah, that is again totally up to the teacher and like the students.
Exactly, like the idea is at the beginning while you get used to the platform and how everything works. So that's the 45 minutes that I was mentioning. But when you get there, then you adapt it or take as much time as you like. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, roughly, uh, I could say that, you know, it would take at least one whole week to like sort of completely understand and sort of build on a project. But, you know, that's not the ideal case usually, right? So, so yeah, it can go more, definitely. Yeah.
Yep.
Good. This one I think might have been answered earlier, but I've just now seen the full list of questions. Are the projects independent, meaning do you need to complete project 1 in order to get to project 2?
Not necessarily. You could jump to project 2 if you're really interested in working on the starting of that first. The idea of that idea of having 3 projects is that if there's a class, if there's a big class, it'll be easier for the teacher to give a little variety into the different groups in terms of content. So all the groups don't have to like work on the same thing. And but this also makes them independent of each other. So the only thing that connects all the 3 projects together are the concepts and the programming knowledge that are there in the lessons. So once everyone's comfortable with the lessons, they could take up any projects. We do mention like the difficulty level. Like for example, the drawing robot is fairly easier compared to the self-balancing motorcycle. So they could also choose based on their level of expertise as well, and how comfortable they are with the concepts that are covered in these projects. Yeah.
Good.
Nice.
So I'll take the next one here. How is Pitsco related to Arduino? So Pitsco Education is one of Arduino's partners in the US that we've helped with, not only with distribution, but also the Arduino Education Student Kit. We collaborated with Arduino to help write that curriculum. So there's the Arduino Starter Kit, and then we helped write curriculum for the Arduino Education Starter Kit. So really looking at more educational concepts that were meant for the classroom. So we not only help with distribution, but also help write curriculum for the US market. Let me see if we have any other ones. I think that's it.
Nice.
Yep, it looks like that's the last of our questions.
Great.
So
the next and last webinar we're having is webinar number 4, and there we will showing you the demos for each of the 3 products of the engineering kit. So we will show you the balancing, the self-balancing motorcycle, the rover, and the drawing robot. So that's on March 30th at the same time. So I hope to see you all there. It will be really nice because then we will also talk about how you can keep learning once you finish with the lessons and the projects in the kit. So don't miss this webinar.
Very good. Well, on behalf of Pittsco Education, I want to thank Leonard and Rox for your time today, and thank you to all of our attendees for taking time out of your busy schedule to learn a little bit more about the Arduino Engineering Kit. So as Rox had mentioned, our next presentation will be Tuesday, March 30th.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Eric, and thank you to Pittsco, and thank you, Leonard, and thank you all for coming. See you.
Thank Eric, Rox. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Take care.